Wait, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Eric, you
Can
have
you?
to be ready. I already clicked start. I already clicked start. All
Oh,
right.
right. We're in
Hey,
here.
everybody. Usually takes a quick second to get people in the chat room. We are also a minute early, so that's kind of fun. Look at us. Where are you calling from? If you're here, tell us how you heard about the Social Club. Is this your first time? Is this your 100th time? I don't think we've done 100 yet, though. Probably not.
I don't think so. We've done one a month since the
Oh,
start of the
here we
year,
go.
so that's like
Toronto,
25.
first time. Okay. Hey, Toronto. Oh my gosh, there's so many Toronto folks. Love it.
Portugal,
I think it's a
Barcelona.
Toronto
I'll be
meetup.
in Barcelona in a few weeks. Andrea, maybe we should meet up for coffee.
Woo! Look at all of these places. Also, tell us where you're coming, like what company you're coming from. If you're a social media manager, if you're a content manager, if you're community. We want to know what you do and why you're excited to be here today. This is all about the chat room. This whole social club is about you guys coming here to ask our panelists questions. So we're super excited to have this chat today. It's all about AI and social media. It's going to be a good one. So super excited for that. And as usual, our webinar is recorded, so we will be sending this webinar to your inboxes tomorrow, which is exciting as well. So you can rewatch and get all the information that you need. Speaking about the chat, we actually have somebody in this chat that met somebody else in real life. We wanted to bring her on. Is Nancy here? Nancy. I want to know if you're here, Nancy, and if so, oh, great, she's here. Nancy, I'd love for you to come on just very briefly and talk about the Social Club and your experience meeting somebody in real life. So I'm going to unmute you here. Let's hear from you, Nancy.
Hello, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, Christina. Hi, Eric. Thanks for bringing me on. And I've been attending the club since the beginning and as my schedule permits. And it's really a way for me to learn from and connect with other people who do what I do. And
That's
several months ago, I was on one of your clubs and saw in the chat that Meredith Rife was in Nashville. That's where I live in Nashville. I work from home for a veterinary clinic, and it's isolating. I do everything from home. I go in the clinic maybe once a week to try and get content. And it's like I just reached out to her on LinkedIn. We connected. Sometime later, I said, "Hey, would you like to get together for coffee?" She said, "Yes." So we did. And it was a wonderful way to get outside my four walls, to meet someone, to talk to someone who understands what I do. We shared stories and tips and tricks and resources. And I love it as a way to support each other and to learn from each other. And if we have questions, I feel like I could go to her with, "Hey, what does this mean?" And I hope she would do the same for me. And we're going to meet again tomorrow. And
amazing.
yeah, if anybody else is in Nashville and wants to join us, hit us up. And, I'd love to bring you in the fold.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nancy. So yeah, like we
Thanks,
said, the
Nancy.
Social Club can be a really good place to meet people in real life. So feel free to pop your LinkedIns in the chat, connect with each other. We also wanted to ask as well, wanted to sound off in the comments if you're here. A lot of people want to bring this conversation off the webinar. So we want to know, like, what's the best place to do that? Is it a Discord? Is it a WhatsApp group chat? Is it a LinkedIn kind of DM chat? Is it just, maybe finding a mutual LinkedIn page? So sound off in the comments if you want to take this conversation off webinar and tell us where the best place to do that would be, and we'll try and set something up. So yeah.
Yeah, if we did a Discord, would it actually be something people would want? Are you in too many of them? Is it like, yeah, let's do it, and then you never actually discuss anything in there? Because we feel like this is becoming a really nice kind of community space. But yeah, not everybody gets to ask their questions here, right? We only get a few, there's only so much time to bring people on. Obviously, it's kind of hard to follow the chat. You can't really just like communicate one-to-one about subtopics or locations or different things. We'd love that story from Nancy actually meeting up in real life. So yeah, let
Yeah.
us know. Let us know if there's a big response and people think, a Discord, WhatsApp, Slack, whatever it may be, would be a good extension of this social club as a way to talk about more of the topics that we're covering and just connect with more people in the social space. We might launch one soon. So
We might launch one.
We've
Yeah.
been told, I've seen a lot of Slacks in there,
Yeah. A lot of
couple
people
of
love
apps,
Slack.
couple of Discords.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll think about that.
And alongside that, before we go, because we love community here, we love to celebrate community. We're doing a t-shirt giveaway. Eric and I are both wearing one right now. Are you wearing yours, actually? That's right. We're doing a social club giveaway. So remember, the only way to enter that draw is to actually comment or leave a question in the chat and be selected to be on mic. So we'll be taking audience questions throughout this whole thing. So make sure to ask your question and then you'll be entered into a draw, which we will do at the very end. So that's exciting. We actually had somebody win a t-shirt this week and post about it on LinkedIn, which I'll show at the end. But these t-shirts are super soft. And if you want to be part of the club, this is the way to do it. Great. Okay. I will see you all at the end. I'll let Eric take it away from here. Let's have a great discussion, everybody. I'll be in the comments.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, just a little housekeeping. If you haven't joined these before, ask your question in the Q&A. We will ask you to unmute yourself, just like Nancy did, and ask the question live of the panelists. If you don't want to actually ask the question live, but you do still want to ask a question, just specify. Christina's still going to try to kind of DM on the side and just make sure, hey, are you cool with coming on to ask this question? So there'll be those kind of extra layers, but we really like this to be interactive. Everybody in the audience getting a chance to actually, be part of the discussion. So just keep that in mind. Keep the questions coming. I think on the last one, I just threw out all my questions and they all came from the audience. So it was a really good discussion. Okay, cool. Let's bring on our expert guests. So in the spirit of AI, I had ChatGPT write my intros for me. I've done that every time, but now it really makes sense because we're talking about AI and social media here. So the first guest we're going to bring on is Carmen Vicente. She does social media at Gorgeous, and ChatGPT says, Carmen keeps Gorgeous social feeds buzzing. She's all about community, smart campaigns, and making brand content feel fresh and human. Carmen, why don't you come on and give us a better intro than AI ever could?
Oops. Hi. Okay, I was laughing through that. That's good. I like to keep people buzzing. Okay, so I'm Carmen. It's interesting because I didn't really have an intro for myself before this, and then Christina was like, "You're gonna have to intro yourself." So this is what I put together. I have worked in social for over a decade. I think I'm on my 13th or 14th year. I was formerly in the B2C world. I worked in the beer industry for a really long time, but made the switch into B2B about a year and a half ago. And yeah, currently run social at Gorgeous, which is a SaaS company. And then on the side, I do a bit of independent content creation. I like to examine social media's impact on individuals, communities, even commerce. And I like to think of myself as kind of a lab rat for all of those experiments.
If you don't follow Carmen on LinkedIn, I will say, I think, Carmen, you are voted best video content creator in the social media professional space on LinkedIn.
Voted by
That's my
who?
vote. That's my vote.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah.
Thanks for being with us, Carmen. This is your first on the Social Club, first of many, I hope. Okay, cool. The next guest we're bringing on is Emily Baillie. ChatGPT calls her an AI marketer and trainer. She trains marketers to actually use AI, M dash, not just talk about it. She's known for making tech approachable, creative, and fun. Emily is our quote unquote AI expert on this panel. So, Emily, do you want to jump in and give an intro of yourself and your experience?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I get to work with organizations across North America to help them take AI from the sidelines and actually make it work for them using a human-centered approach. What that means is you're using AI to work for you and not the other way around. I've been in digital marketing for over 15 years. Never have I seen so much change as what's happening now. And a big part of what I do, whether it's speaking at events or doing one-to-one trainings for marketing professionals and organizations, is figuring out a way to use AI that fits their values, fits their goals, fits their budgets. And there really is no one size fits all. So I'm really lucky I get to work with groups all around, people from all walks of life. And that's really important because everyone, I believe, should be learning AI, no matter if you have a technical background or not. People need support and people need to be able to ask questions and feel like there truly are no silly questions. So if you have questions for me today, please don't be shy. We are here to help.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, it's a little new for us. We usually have just kind of social media pros on here, but bringing an expert just from the AI space, the digital space, the marketing space, and what you're seeing across the business landscape and how AI is being implemented is going to be really valuable for this group, and excited to have you here. Okay, last but definitely not least, we're going to bring on Christina Lee, who's the head of marketing and plot and new advisor to us at Slate. ChatGPT says, quote, Christina went from social pro to marketing leader. She's passionate about storytelling, brand growth, and building teams that think like creators. Christina, hi.
Hey, hi everybody. So great to be here. I think ChatGPT actually summed it up. I think that was pretty good. If anybody knows me, I'm actually really terrible at intros. I always hate icebreakers because it makes me, I don't know, want to shit my pants. Oh, wait, is this is recorded?
Yeah, no,
Anyway,
this is actually live.
yeah, so for most of you who don't know me, I'm Christina. As Eric said, I'm head of marketing over at Plot, just joined as an advisor for Slate because my background is that I've been in social for over a decade. I've been the one who was well, let me back that up. I was the first social media manager for 5 different companies. And then I worked my way into becoming head of marketing because I somehow tricked Plot to think that I'm very good at it. I don't know how. And we're building the next video social listening software that could tune into everything that's happening in the video landscape. So the conversation around AI today is very on brand with everything that we're doing. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got.
Amazing. Okay, let's dive in. Lots to talk about with AI and social media. I think the first kind of broad question is just, I'll start with you, Carmen, is how do we see the balance of human creativity and like AI automation in the social space going forward? I think we all work in social because we love being creative. People like consuming content because they like consuming creative, interesting things. And where do you see this going with, this human-led creativity and AI automation? Where's the line? What are your thoughts on those two things and how that plays out?
Yeah, I think for me, I like this idea that AI is only here for content creation feels too narrow. And I think that that's partially what people are maybe getting wrong about where AI can serve a social team. Um, at my company, we have pretty strong guidelines about how much AI we need to be using and utilizing in our day-to-day. So it's something that every single day I use AI, but a comment I've gotten on some of my posts on LinkedIn, especially in the last couple of months, is like, wow, this really sounds like it was written by a human. And then somebody was saying, like, tell me about your prompt that you used because it sounds so natural. And I was like, it wasn't, it was me. I wrote it. I didn't use ChatGPT. So I feel like my first sort of like invitation to people is to be like, okay, tell me something that's taking too much time in your workflow and try to consider creating some kind or using AI in some way to make that faster or easier or just like, yeah, making it a more approachable task that you don't dread. And I don't really think that for me, I haven't been using AI for content generation. I've been using it for a whole bunch of other things, and I'm happy to go into those a little bit later. But really,
Yeah.
I would say like either ask an LLM where you should be optimizing your workflow, or accept that it's probably like the best places aren't for content generation, because yeah, those are the probably the worst places to be using it. And it's not to say that every AI content generation tool is bad, but I think like a simple way of maintaining that balance is still having the humans create the ideas and the content, and then using AI to streamline some other aspect of your, like, boring, more administrative side of social.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we're so strapped as social media practitioners already, and like we're not getting more resources, more people. In the best version of this, it's like AI will give us time and space to be more human-led, creative, but the lines like blur pretty quickly. I guess, Emily, what are you seeing across just across the work you've been doing in consulting? Is there like a clear line between like what AI should be used for and what it shouldn't be used for at businesses, and are businesses coming up with like policies around that? Or yeah, how do you see it in like creative work versus, I guess, more like operational work?
It's a great question. And I think a lot of organizations are still finding their way through all of this. So some have a policy in place where they're saying to their teams, we're going to use AI for this, but not this. Others, there is no plan really. And some workplaces are encouraging a culture of innovation and like investing in training for their staff. That's kind of where I come in. Like, let's talk about it. Let's address our concerns. Let's figure out a path forward that everybody feels good about. Sometimes I'm noticing a bit of a disconnect between the folks that are doing the social media marketing and doing the implementation, the community management, and all that good stuff. That's a big job, by the way. In my past life, I did do social media marketing myself, so I know you got to keep the lights on. You got to keep it engaging. But sometimes the folks, depending on what organization you're in, we won't name names here, but sometimes the folks at the very top, like the C-suite, sometimes they're a bit disconnected. And sometimes they have ideas about where AI can be useful that may differ
Mm.
a little bit from the teams who are actually doing the marketing, sort of content creation, implementation. That said, I do agree with Carmen that the best content comes from talented humans. I think where AI can be most useful as it relates to social media specifically can be in speeding up the wonderful work that teams are already doing. So if you have a list a mile long of things that you need to get through every day, every week, every month, I think it's okay for people to lean on tools like ChatGPT or other tools that are more specific to help kind of amplify their impact, help speed up a little bit of time without being overly reliant on AI. We've all gone online and seen shitty, excuse my French, shitty AI content. Like you can tell as soon as you see it that someone put a crappy prompt into ChatGPT and then they shipped the first draft of what they got. You can tell there's just these sort of telltale signs. To me, that shows a lack of education around how to use these tools properly. It also shows a lack of vision around how humans and AI can work collaboratively and can work sort of side by side. And really, that is the future of work in our industry.
Yeah, yeah, very well said. So, Christina, I know you're a big proponent of replacing humans with AI social media managers. Do you want to talk about your views on that?
I'm a robot right now. What do you mean? I actually, funny enough, I think a lot of what we're circling around is, and I talked about this a lot on my LinkedIn content as well, is that, AI has helped us tremendously so much do our job a lot faster. Like I use AI as a sparring partner, actually. Like
Mm.
I'm borderline abusive with my buddy Chat. I like to call him Chatty G whenever I get really like sassy. No, but I think it's really helpful because I work in a remote environment and sometimes it's not as easy because, back then when you can go in an office, you generally talk to a bunch of people, bounce ideas off of one another. You don't really have that luxury
Mm.
these days when most of the companies are generally remote or they're like, whatever it might be. So I ask a lot of stupid questions to AI, questions that I probably would be a little too embarrassed to ask in a marketing meeting. Like, what does BDR stand for? What is a CAC? How do I figure out ACV? There are things like that that I heavily rely on AI. Now that we're entering a zero-click world, I generally go to, an LLM to ask my questions versus searching it on Google. That being said, I think like at the core, I don't know if it's because of my values or whatever, because I was always that kid that hated when people copied my homework. Like I freaking hated it. Like when somebody's like, Christina, just let me like, did you do your essay yesterday? Just let me take a look at it. It's like, no, fuck you. That's my word. Like I'm not gonna give that out to you. And I feel the same way with you utilizing AI content and positioning it as something that I myself wrote. I take a lot of pride in the things that I say. I'm not, as you guys can tell, I'm very blunt and straightforward. I often don't mince my words because that's just who I am as a person. And I think the pressure from the corporate world makes you feel like you have to act a certain way, which is why that like trickles down to people just feeling like they have to rely on AI to sound professional. They have to rely on AI to sound smart. And I think that's where people start resisting, where they're just like, if I use this too much, am I inadvertently becoming more stupid? You know, and it's things like that that I think we're constantly battling with. But if we just structure ourselves to like think every AI isn't going anywhere, it's a really great tool. I use it to go grocery shopping, you know, make me my list. It's like a personal assistant. I think it's just
Yeah,
like how we wire ourselves and like do it that way versus just seeing it as like, oh my gosh, this is going to take over. We're living in a simulation and this is the end of the world. Because I was feeling that way, you know, early last year. And now I've been more open to it because if you take away ChatGPT from me, I might die. So there's that too.
totally. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really good way to put it. It's a personal assistant. And I do think there is pressure from any organization, especially in the tech space, to be implementing AI in ways that help make your life easier. But usually that falls on the individual. Like all of these tools are so individualized. Like you said, Emily, there's not really policies. The tools haven't evolved enough to where you could set a brand standard for how you use AI, either as text-based or generative, or where the lines are. It seems like two things are happening right now on social. Brands are being praised for their use of AI, right? We're seeing like complete, like Super Bowl quality ads being made generatively with AI, and everyone's like, oh my God, like look what they were able to do in a day. Like, how awesome is this? And then the other side is, any graphic in from any brand is getting scrutinized in the comments section of like, hey, I noticed this link in the chain link fence behind you is off. This is clearly AI. And audiences are pushing back on that. So in terms of content creation, like obviously there's things AI can do that before you would have to manually do in Photoshop for certain things that is like, hey, why don't I just cut this person out and put them on a background using AI instead of manually doing it? But it feels like we're in a moment where there's like a very sharp audience backlash to anything that may be that. Do we think that is going to increase? Do we think that is something that is kind of this short-term pushback, but everything is going to get, just like no one would be like, hey, is this photoshopped before that? So I guess where does that go? And should any brand disclose that they're using AI on a piece of media if they use AI to edit that media? I'll start with you, Christina, and then we'll go around.
Do you want to start with me because I made a face?
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly. I wasn't going to start with you. I saw the face you made. I was like, okay, we got to get in there while it's fresh.
no, I don't think brands so I don't necessarily think brands need to disclose every time they use AI for something because there's so many avenues that people use AI for, whether that's color grading or whatever it might be. There's
Yeah,
like levels in which they use AI within the tool.
yeah.
I do think where it gets a little concerning is when brand safety comes to play, where people are using celebrity likelihoods and sort of like
Hmm.
doing voiceovers that makes it sound like it's that person. And I see, and whenever I go on X, I see another video about the president saying something super funny that he actually didn't say, or like,
Hmm.
another politician. I say the president with, so I just think it's one of those things where I don't think the criticism is going to be as loud as more of this gets embedded in all of the, right now it's still relatively new. I know it's been around
Yeah.
for a couple of years, but I just feel like more and more people are more receptive to it now. And it's always going to be a battle of the creative works. Because I also look at it, right? You have people who are film photographers that love the craft and they like go and develop the films themselves. And then they post it on Instagram. People are like, oh my God, I love this. And then you have people who are the digital photographers that can edit to look like film. And
Yeah.
are they less creative because they were able to sort of like mold it in a way that's not necessarily film? So there's always like that authenticity pull, I think, especially in our space where it relies heavily on creatives. But that said, I don't think they should have to disclose every time they use AI, because then it would just, you would, I think it'd make the world really ugly the second we start doing that. It's kind of like when you put a watermark on everything, you know, nobody, ugh. But
Totally.
I'm happy to hear other differing opinions.
Yeah. Emily, how are you seeing kind of like, I guess, consumer reaction to AI, especially on social media feeds and how that's changing?
So I think some of the big brands that have used AI in their creative, I'm thinking of Coca-Cola, I'm thinking of some fashion magazines that have clearly used AI and it's very obvious. They did
Yeah.
get backlash, but here's the thing. On social media, negativity, backlash, that's all comments, that's all engagement. So part of me wonders, did they make this bold, and I'm using quotation marks here, bold move because part of them wanted to maybe be innovative. One of them, perhaps they wanted to test the waters a little bit. And, sometimes a bit of controversy isn't always a bad thing in the marketing world because it's getting people paying attention. I don't know if that was the intent behind it, but part of me wonders, is that, did they sort of weigh their options there before deciding to use AI in their creative? I generally recommend to the organizations that I work with, I do recommend that folks consider labeling AI generated content, but here's the thing. If you're using AI for ideation, for your content calendar, for writing captions, things like that, I don't believe you need to disclose that you're using AI. Where I think it becomes more important, and this is where we need to kind of distinguish between like what's real and what's not. I'm thinking of young people in particular here on social. If it's an entirely AI generated video, for example, it's entirely fake. I mean, we've all seen those videos are already out there on Instagram and other places. I think that brands should label it, and it doesn't have to be front and center. It doesn't have to be on the title card of their video, but it could be something like a hashtag. It says hashtag AI generated. It could be something like you can make it kind of fun and cheeky, like we used a bit of AI magic to help create this campaign, something along those lines that just helps to maintain that trust amongst your audience. Because, it's weird to me when people go on social media and they don't know what's real and what's fake. I don't think that that's a good thing for mental health, for young people.
Mm.
We already know that social media isn't great for mental health to begin with. So I would like to see more brands kind of step up. And I think it's okay. People will understand. And there have been some brands who have openly used AI and they have labeled it as such.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Carmen, what's your take on this? I mean, it feels like we're entering a space where it just default, hey, this may or may not be real. And maybe that's not, maybe that's what social is now. It's like it's entertaining one way or another, but we're not able to trust that something is,
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
guy
I mean,
actually jumped over a car or whatever,
yeah.
that went viral five years ago, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of like a combination of like a pessimist and a pragmatist. So I tend to sort of feel like even if there were certain like rules imposed where like you had to disclose if it's AI in these ways, but not if you just use like, caption generation, or not if you just use
Yeah.
ideation or whatever, like I still think people are going to circumvent it. Like I do think maybe one of the silver linings is that it's making people a lot more critical about what they're seeing
Yeah.
online, and they're being like, wait, like am I taking this at face value? And I like that. I think that's like it's good to take a pretty critical approach to the things you see online. So if anything, I think that it's a bit of a wake up call for people to be like, whoa, my feed isn't just like, a string of authentic moments. It's like these are orchestrated by very complex teams. So I don't know. I honestly don't have like a really strong feeling about whether or not I think it should be labeled or not, because I just don't believe that people in the same way that people don't disclose when certain times when things are sponsored and whatnot. Like I just don't think I'm totally somebody who feels like once a rule exists, then we all abide by it.
Yeah.
I feel like my general outlook is like, yeah, it makes us a little bit more distrusting, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, fair. Okay, we're gonna bring on some audience Q&A. We're gonna start with Tyler Cox. Tyler, are you with us?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Tyler.
How are you?
Doing good.
All right, cool. So my question is, so context, I currently use AI for my one-on-one brainstorming sessions. It's like my baseline where I go with ideas. I've never actually used it for video content. But on the other end, I am starting to see generated content across my feeds. So my question is, as AI tools evolve so quickly, what skills do social media teams need to future-proof themselves outside of just learning how to use AI ourselves?
Yeah, I feel pretty opinionated about this, so I'll take a first stab. But like this might make me sound like a bit of a, I don't know, like I'm too old or something, but I actually think that one of the things I would advise people to do right now is like use AI every day, but also create better boundaries for like just like thinking time, ideation time without any screen, without any assistance from like any kind of technology, because I really do think that like the best content that you're going to create, you have to have the ability to like the muscles in your head still have to work, you know? And I've even noticed myself sometimes like I'll be dictating things to Claude and then I'm like, oh my God, I gotta start typing this because I'm like too late. I'm not even typing, you know, I'm just like, I'm feeling too, I catch myself just leaning way too hard on the tools and then like not doing enough up here. And I'm like really protective of my brain time, screen-free time, because obviously I have to spend so much time in front of a screen. So it's almost like I would recommend, and I hope this isn't too general of an answer, this like concurrent path where on one hand, you're using AI to, let's say, like vibe code solutions that you need in your specific workday every single day. And then you're also like developing like a thinking practice, which I'm not trying to be like a cult guru here or something, but I just mean to say like you have to figure out how to still, you know, be able to write a caption and a post and a thought and a strategy deck and all these things, even if like the internet was down one day, you know? So that's my feeling is like it's like these two forces that are almost like absolutely running in contradiction to one another. But I feel super confident that the better social teams and literally any team will be the ones that are good at AI, but then also strong strategic thinkers.
Love that answer.
I actually feel the same way, Carmen, because when you were saying like having thinking time, I was also thinking like that is your opportunity, the time that you take back from doing those mundane tasks that takes forever, you can better spend learning a new skill. Like for me, I like to tinker in a lot of different apps and figure out how things work. Like I don't know how to use Photoshop. I didn't know how to edit videos. I didn't know how to color it. That's something more recent. And so you have the time to sort of practice at those things. And then when you practice and fine tune that, you're also developing a skill to have like an artistic eye for things. And you will then have a stronger opinion, which could then go back to instruct AI to do things better for you in a way too. Because I think it's very hard to be over reliant and then also assume that you're not gonna excel later on. You know, like you need to continue working. And that's the thing that I think is something hard for people to understand because they're like, oh my God, AI this, AI this, AI this. Yes, it's helping you to work faster, but you should also be doing the work to better yourself in a way too. And so whether that be like, you know, I don't know, I think I let AI handle a lot of stuff so I can stay in the comments and engage with people. And that has helped plot tremendously. You know, when it comes to more boring things like, you know, write me an FAQ page or whatever like that, like handle all of that stuff and let me go and do like stay in the comments, actually doom scroll and do the things that help me level up my job and get the brand more, you know, get them more noticeable. But yeah, so That just to piggyback as a corporate word to use there off of you.
Yeah, and I would agree with that as well. I think our jobs now as marketers include continuous learning. And it's not necessarily in our job description when we're hired. It's sort of like an implicit expectation. And so we have to find the way or the mode of learning that works best for us. For example, some people work best, attending a conference or attending a workshop and clearing their schedule and being like, okay, I'm going to spend the day, or I'm going to spend even like an hour learning about this thing in this space. Other people like to subscribe to weekly newsletters, or for example, I have a weekly newsletter that gives people like plain language marketing and AI tips. There's lots of other great ones out there as well, or taking a course. Like I teach courses as well in AI and marketing. And I think people just have to find their groove and find what works for them. There's a lot of great material on YouTube. It's never been easier to access information for free in many cases. Thought leadership on LinkedIn. There's a lot of key people that I follow myself. I read TechCrunch. Like there's so many resources out there. It's your responsibility to find and curate the ones that work best for you, and then find time to work that into your schedule in a way that's sustainable and isn't going to cause you to burn out. I'll be honest, I find that some people love change. They love learning things on a continuous basis. Other people are like, I can't keep up. I'm tired. And that's okay. Like it's okay to say that. I think we all feel like that sometimes. So I think our part of our job now as marketers, because we're in this accelerated rate of change, is weaving in those moments for learning. Maybe it's experimentation. Also, I think that's tremendously important. A lot of really smart people have taught themselves AI without going to a course or workshop. So if folks have questions about like what avenue might be best for them, don't hesitate to reach out. And really, like, there's never been more opportunity now out there at your fingertips to keep on learning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. It feels like there's like kind of two tasks for marketers right now. One is like figure out how AI can help make your day easier and give you more time and space. And then the second is like figure out how you're going to be intentional about that new time that you have back, right? It's not just like, okay, let's just now feed everything in there and sit up with our feet up, because you're not going to be able, like that plateaus really quickly. And then you're in a meeting asked to speak critically about something and you don't know what to say because you can't pull up AI to say it for you. Like you still need to have that critical thinking. And if you're going to get that time back, be intentional about it. I love that message. And that, I guess, leads to a good next question from Emily Huffer, which ties to the first part of that. Emily, do you want to hop on? Friend of the program. Hey, Emily.
Sure. Hey, everyone. Yeah, so my question was just more like, I feel like for so many social media marketers, when we're doing 15 million things and our brain is going in so many different directions, I am sometimes like, oh my gosh, I kind of even forgot that AI can help me out with some of this stuff. So, do you think in general there's like one thing in particular, and maybe it's like a prompt to start your day or something that's just been the most helpful for you to either like streamline your work or think differently? Just like something that you think that basically all social media managers should be using.
I can take that one again. Being a hog. Hi, Emily. Okay, so I really like Lovable because you can just, it's such a conversational AI tool. I think some of them you have to have a little bit more technical know-how, but I went to Lovable and I was like, okay, here's who I am. Like I'm a social media manager. I want to be on top of these sorts of topics like creator economy, anything to do with a platform change, anything to do with algorithm changes, any breaking news about social. Like I listed a whole bunch of stuff and I said, I want you to build me like a custom kind of feed. And then I want you to create these like kind of up and down vote things. Like I want you to recognize when I read a piece, when when I didn't click through to something you suggested me. So like get a little smarter when you suggest them to me, and then create a widget. And I basically now, and I was like even saying like, these are the colors I want to see when I open this up and whatnot. But basically I was like, here are sources I like, here are sources I don't like. This is what I appreciate. This is exactly the type of content that I want to be stay abreast of. Now put all this into a feed that's customized for me, that recognizes my patterns when I read it. And I have the widget on my home screen on my phone, and it's almost like, you know, some people like wake up and they check X, or they wake up and they check a specific news site. Like I check my Carmen customized feed that I've just built for myself. And then when I want to swap, if I don't like one of the sources, I take it out, or I can kind of like describe like why I don't like it to Lovable, and it will get a little bit smarter. But basically like I created my own little custom social media, stay on top of shit feed, and can't recommend it highly enough.
How do we subscribe to Carmen's brain feed?
Maybe I'll do a little like how-to video about how to set it up, because it's nice to set it up just for you, and maybe you don't want it on your home screen, like maybe that's a recipe for disaster. But I just nested it with all my other social apps, the ones that I like the best, and it's great. It's like a really nice way to stay up to date on the exact topics that I care about, and it filters out the stuff I don't.
She just became a founder here on this call.
Yeah, I'll invest.
Now.
Emily, did you have any thoughts on kind of what's like the one way social media teams, if they could pick one thing to kind of free up their time, you know, how would you recommend they approach that?
It's a great question. I think that it's a matter of, like Carmen said, like curating those sources that are most applicable to you. There's so much noise on the internet, on social media, and there's a lot of hype surrounding AI in particular. So I think finding a way that works for you, if you're the type of person that likes a daily email dropped in your inbox, and that's going to be your sort of reminder or your prompt to catch up on news, great. You could subscribe to email newsletters. You could set up Google alerts with certain keywords, or you could subscribe to the newsletter of like Social Media Today or something like that. I like the BBC Tech Decoded newsletter. It gives me AI updates from a global perspective, a little bit more high level. I also read TechCrunch. I also follow some key people on LinkedIn. So throughout my day, I kind of have those touch points already kind of built in. And then if I have more time, I can dig in further. If I have less time because it's a busy day, then I know it's still there for me to catch up on the next day. So I think it's not one single thing. I think it's more a matter of curating and figuring out what sort of systems work best for you, your preferences and your style of learning, and then setting that self up for yourself in advance so that you're getting those reminders throughout the day. Social media work is a lot of notifications. So we want to make sure that what we're getting is really valuable and it's not a distraction. That's why I think it's important to really be careful about curating maybe like 5 to 6 sources or key people, thought leaders that you like, that resonate with you, and then subscribing to maybe their YouTube or their email newsletter, or, you know, whatever is best really for your style.
It's great. Christina, do you have a favorite way that you're currently using AI that frees
Yeah,
up?
I have it write love notes to me. That's it. I just need a pep talk in the morning, you know.
It's a good therapist until it's a bad therapist.
Until it's a right, until it's a bad. No, but I don't do anything fancy with AI, which tells me based on Emily and Carmen's answer that I should probably leverage it a little bit more. But I let it handle the mundane task of like batch content, and then I'm like, create all the alt tags for these 20 images. Thank you. And then I save them, and that's it. And that takes like a lot of time. The amount of time I used to spend just writing out alt text is ridiculous. So that's probably the one task that I could never give up. And the love notes, because, you know, sometimes my boss is not loving me enough. So chat knows how I work, you know.
It's great.
A bit of a pep talk.
Chat will always forgive you too, because it sounds like you guys have a little bit of an abusive relationship from the way you
A
describe it, but
little
it's
bit.
productive as well.
I straight up, I'm just like, you are such an idiot. And it's like, I'm so sorry. And, you know, if I talk to my husband that way, he'd probably leave. So at least I can channel this outlet somewhere.
Carmen, didn't you do that series around at a conference where you asked people what was it if they would rather release their chat history or walk on burning coals?
Yeah, I said, would you rather release your ChatGPT history or walk on nails? And a lot of people were like, yeah, I'd be walking on those nails, girlfriend. But then it's funny to see the people who are like, oh yeah, I'd release it. I'm like, you don't use it, do you?
100% do not, because if you guys saw my chat history, oh boy. I pretty much probably effectively killed at least a state size of the planet. So sorry about that.
I know every time I'm like asking it things, my wife's like, that's like a glass of water every time. Like, why are you asking it such like flippant questions about like small things? I'm like, I'm too deep at this point. But
I'm so insecure apparently with what my brain can do. So I need that reassurance.
Well, Christina, you were talking about like having to look up acronyms, and I think like when I entered the B2B world, I definitely had to look up a lot of acronyms. It was so humbling because I'd be sitting in meetings being like, what does that mean? Like, you know, in another window, like trying to look it up. And I definitely spent a full hour meeting looking up DCM only to realize that it was just my colleague who they call by an acronym. So I'm like, what is DCM tech, DCM SaaS, DCM? Like,
Right.
I think I'm the moron, but no.
Yeah. Well, this entire time I thought people, whenever they said POC, piece of content, I assumed it was person of color. I was like, why are they talking about me again? Like, what are they bringing this up for? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
somebody told me before, like going up and doing like a conference session, they're like, just avoid using acronyms. Like, don't use a bunch of acronyms. Like, don't do it. So I tried not to use AI as much as possible. Anyway, let's bring on Cami, who has a question for the group about smaller creators versus bigger creators. Cami, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm calling in from Boise, Idaho. Thanks for doing this. It's been really awesome to listen to all your POVs. My question is mostly about small creators. So, is AI a tool that you guys envision is going to help kind of level the playing field for smaller creators, or is it really focused on benefiting those people who already have large platforms?
Emily, you want to take this one?
That's a good question. I don't see, in my perspective, a big difference. One thing I do like about AI is it is available to anyone and everyone. You just literally go to chatgpt.com and you're up and running. Of course, bigger creators may have access to more capital, which means higher production value. So that could be an advantage, I suppose. But I think that the algorithms themselves have more of an impact than the AI technology behind it.
I'm both optimistic and pessimistic about how AI helps social teams in the future. In this way, like I'm optimistic that like so many social teams are small teams, even at the biggest brands, right? Like some of the most followed social feeds in the world, it's like, oh, there's only one or two people doing everything. Does AI give decision makers the excuse to continue to like underfund social? That's like one thing that like concerns me. It's like, yeah, but now you have AI, where I feel like we're just starting to maybe get to a place where, hey, like we need more resources if we're gonna be like these other brands that you want us to be like. On the other hand, we are all like overworked, stretched thin, and social, and AI is like helping that. Um, Pessimistic, optimistic about like the future of social media resources because of AI. Christina?
I'm along the same way, but I'm pretty optimistic. And I think more and more people are just craving like that authenticity bit. And like as a content creator myself, right, that just makes me, I don't know, feel like this is my moment to shine and build my personal brand around me and not so much of like me as in my work identity, but me all around. Because I don't know, I just think AI does such a good job at helping us with our job and our day-to-day, but it's all about individual use case and what they're doing to level themselves up or not. I was a big AI critic, by the way, in case it might not sound like it, but I was a huge critic because I was very much like resistant of the change. And then somebody was like, you sound like a boomer when the internet came out. Like, you're not going to use that either. So there's that.
There's something crazy happening out my window. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
And then there were the three of us.
I can't quite tell if the question is about like a small creator versus a big creator. You meaning like more like an influencer or content creator, or you mean like a small social team versus a big social team? So I think like I would answer that differently, but I think if you were like a team of one, I am a team of one, then I think you can use AI in really interesting ways where it's like, uh, it helps you take care
Our
of
partner.
what's that? Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be a thought partner,
Our
but I mean,
partner.
like,
That's your teammate.
or it could be like, say you're a content creator, rather, like you could be like, hey, can you fix this aspect of my like accounting or bookkeeping or something like that? Like, you could use it for a lot of what you're talking about, Christina, like these like mundane tasks. But I also wonder if it opens up a bit more opportunity. Like I find on TikTok, especially, any of my videos that I put more effort into and I like edit and take a lot of hours to edit generally don't do as well as the videos that are just like me almost like one take talking to my phone kind of thing. So I honestly just think that there's also this like divide that opens up where like the more we see AI and like really slick execution in our feeds, we also then like respond quite viscerally to like less polished stuff too. So I think there is like an opportunity that like a small creator or a team of one gets access to. But yeah, again, I feel like it comes back to this original thing I was talking about where it's like, are we talking about AI for content creation or are we talking about AI for like literally any single thing that you could do at work? So there's, kind of two categories to like dissect. How's the fight outside your window, Eric?
Did everybody hear that, or was that just me?
I heard a little
No.
something.
It was like, I don't know. It was like concrete drilling like right outside my window or something. But it's all good now. Let's bring on another question from Nicole Howard. Nicole, are you with us?
Yes.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, this is so cool. Um, so how are we approaching content for SEO given how AI is changing search? So I'm
Hmm.
hearing all day, every day in the marketing side of AI is killing our clicks. What do we do? And I'm a social person. People don't really talk to me as much, but I know that social does appear in search. So I'm trying to figure out how do I help or how do I advocate for my team of one over here as to how social media can be helpful for us in that issue.
Hmm. Great question. Yeah, I feel like AI and SEO, I see so many mixed things on my LinkedIn feed about it. I see it's killing SEO. I see this is overblown. It's only 1% of traffic and it's like going down. I don't know what to think. Emily, do you have an opinion on this? Have you kind of looked into this issue more?
Yeah, so we now as marketers have to think not just of SEO, but also GEO, which is generative engine optimization. I have some social media freelance friends who've got clients who found them on Perplexity and told them I was looking for a Pinterest expert. I was looking for an Instagram expert, and that's where I found you. And she's like, great, like that's amazing. I think for social media managers, if you're only running social media, then it might be a conversation to have with the wider marketing team. And the reason is you know, if you're limiting your marketing to just social, it may impact your GEO, meaning you may want to have a web presence that goes beyond just social media, and I'm sure most organizations would. But you want to have a sort of footprint, a digital footprint on a number of different surfaces. I'm not saying go start some other, you know, social platform, but think carefully about, okay, where are people getting their information from? Do you rank on ChatGPT? Do you rank on Google Gemini? Like, look for your type of industry or your type of product or service on those platforms and see, are you ranking? And you could do a quick audit. If your competitors are ranking and you're not, then that's something that needs attention 100%. It is all very new, but more and more folks are starting to use tools like ChatGPT instead of Google as their go-to. There's always going to be those people who are never going to use, you know, they're never going to use ChatGPT or something like that for search, but some will. So depending who your target audience is, you just may need to adjust your strategy. I don't think there's a fire under this, but I think it's something that we need to watch as marketers and sort of adjust along the way.
Totally.
I think this goes back to the fundamental of social. And when we're creating content and like really good content, we think about shareability. And because this conversation happens a lot, like now that we're entering a zero-click world, what is that going to mean for the content that we create? Like, are we just going to continue shit posting? Are we going to continue optimizing for, you know, search and all these other things like that? But I think at the end of the day, if you want to build some credibility and be in front of people and get in front of people, then focus on creating really good content that people are going to, you know, share through dark social, that's going to somehow appear on Reddit, because your social content is going to end up on the Google search. It is going to end up, and I think if you want it in like AI or the LLMs, then you obviously need to have it so that way it is being shared, because there's so much noise out there. They're only going to pick and choose the content and the brands that are sort of like front facing and are getting the most chattered and have like the most, I guess, credibility and authority in that space. So I think those days where people are like, I'm just gonna shoot shit at the wall and post this for the sake of posting, I think those are gonna start slimming down, because again, our day-to-day, we can only do so much. But you know, obviously with the help of AI, if you want to continue doing the shit posting and do that, that's fine. But I do think there is a benefit to having a much narrower focus. Sorry, my English is starting to get tongue twisted with my Vietnamese brain right now. But I think if we can draw focus and bring strategy around that, that's going to help us in the long run. But as we all know, because we work in social, that the game of having the patience and the stamina to stick it out for the long run is very difficult, because we want that instant viral hit. We want those quick dopamine slides. So I'm here to say that I think you should invest in the long-term game, and get practice at, you know, doing the quality stuff.
Totally. Carmen, what your recommendation was to start fights on Reddit?
Yeah, I think Reddit's where it's at. You just like come in swinging, say some really inflammatory stuff, and then get out and see how many people.
I knew you posted that about me.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah, I mean,
That was...
I put your picture in there, so I felt like, yeah, I mean, I don't think I have like anything super great to add here, but I feel like there are a lot of tools now like AirOps and I don't know, various SaaS companies that are cropping up because they are helping people capitalize on different GEO opportunities. So it's not like if you're like, wait, this isn't making sense to me. It's like, yeah, it's because people have to use tools now to figure out how you're ranking in AI search. So, yeah.
Totally. Man, this Emily, sorry, did you have one last thing to say here?
Yeah, one last thing I wanted to mention for a marketing strategy in general, now that we're talking about GEO, is a quick tip for you. AI is going to be the source of a lot of information. You know, you can get information from anywhere. It's going to make it easier than ever. People don't even have to go to your website. I think it's wise going forward to try to weave in those human to human kind of moments. And we've touched on this a little bit, but I want folks to think about what are some hot takes that they can share? What are some case studies that they can talk about specific to their product or service? What are some opinions that they could put out there in the world? And what are some things that they can show that demonstrate the impact of their unique work? So you want to get away from the generic stuff that's going to be available kind of anywhere with AI, and you want to give people something really special that's unique to your brand, unique to your personality. And I think that's what's really going to help brands to stand out in the new AI powered landscape.
That's a perfect way to end it. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Christina. We're going to bring on Christina Pirro to give away what has been rated the softest shirt in America.
In the world. Wow, that
Yeah.
was such a good conversation. And I would have said I was taking notes, but my AI took notes for me. So no need. All right, time to share our giveaway wheel that we also created on AI on ChatGPT. Can everybody see this? Can I get a
It's a
drum roll?
beautiful wheel. Yeah, this is a beautiful wheel.
Thanks.
Drum roll.
The winner of the t-shirt for everybody who asked the question today is Tyler Cox. He's also someone that we've had on a lot of our chats. So thanks, Tyler, for being someone that comes to the Social Club every month. I also want to share our next month panelist for our Social Club happening next month on Organic Social. We have Ian Evans from TLDB, Sophie Miller, and Nabila, and we're so excited to have them all on. I'm going to share the link here so that you can register early, because we love having early registrants and seeing who wants to join our next chat. And on top of that, yeah, for the winner, Tyler, make sure to just message me on LinkedIn. It was such a great conversation. All the panelists, thank you so much for being a part of this. Honestly, there was so much that we could have learned today, and I'm going to have to rewatch. So this whole webinar will be sent to your inboxes tomorrow morning and will be posted on YouTube, and you can use AI to get the transcripts and learn the most notable moments from here. So thank you so much, everyone. If you have any questions leading up to this, you know where to find us. Posting everybody's LinkedIn's here, and we'll see you at the next one for an awesome conversation about organic social. Did I miss everything?
Everyone.
Yeah, we're good.
I think that's everything. Yeah.
Cool.
Look out for
Bye,
that Slack
everybody.
community coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Bye,
All right.
everyone. Thank you.
Everybody. Bye.